Hello again. We are back talking about more locks. Well, same ones anyway. So I told you I would take these apart and show you the difference between their pins and why they make a difference. We're going to start off with the Masterlock that you saw me picking earlier today. Excuse me. When we take a look at these lower pins are the key pins. These are the pins that interface with the key. And as you can see, there's absolutely nothing spectacular about them. They're just plain standard pins. Above them are the driver pins. These are the pins that push down on the key pins. And when you get your key installed into the lock, it pushes the key pins up to the driver pins to the shear line and opens the lock. Now, when these driver pins, when you don't have the key in it, the driver pins will push down into the center of the lock and block that shear line. Now, when you're trying to pick a lock, you're putting tension on the lock and you're cocking these pins to the side a little bit in between the inside of the core and the outside of the core, and you're getting caught on that shear line. So that's why we want security pins in our driver pins, because it will prevent the picking. Obviously this one didn't prevent very much, and that can have can be caused by tolerances within the lock itself, within the core. So here's the core that those came out of, and we're going to turn it this way so we don't lose all of our springs inside. Pull the center of it out, and you see this is the center of the core that the key pins generally reside in. I'm gonna put I'll put this one in here. Get in there. All right, now we've got a key pin in there, and when we put our spool pin in above it, sorry, I'm trying to hold the phone and do this at the same time. You can see how that driver pin sets in there, and when you try to pick it, it's going to get caught because you're putting that tension on this inner core. All right, now we're not focusing. There we go. So as you're putting tension on that inner core, trying to turn it when you're picking, this is getting bound up. Only not so much with the Masterlock. That's fine though. We'll forgive him for now. The next lock up here is the Paclock. Now, you see on these key pins, they have, at least a couple of them, have serrations on the key pins. That's nice. That means the key pins themselves will get caught on that shear line. A couple of these pins, though, look like they have, like maybe it was meant to be a false line there. On the other side of it, though, it's not I don't know. I think this is just a mess up in manufacturing, but it almost has like a serration or just a little lip on it there on one side of the key pin, not on the other side. And then this serrated pin has the same effect on it. So I'm thinking that's a manufacturing defect, but not necessarily a bad one, because these little grooves can also interfere with someone trying to pick the lock. So we'll let that slide a little bit. What I don't want to let slide are these spool pins. These are so short. Look at this one here. That pin is so short with the spool part of it. It might as well just be called a serrated pin, just a deeply serrated pin. When you put that into the core, I don't see how that's going to get caught much at all, especially if let me pause and set something up so I can show you what I'm talking about. Okay, this is not exactly how, oops, grab that again. This is not where I would put this particular pin normally, but just for example purposes, you see how, or maybe you can't see how, here we go. You see how the cutout of the spool is sitting above, well, was sitting above the shear line. So a spool with that little bit of a serration in it is not doing as much good as one might think. And Well, I'm gonna have to redo all those. That's something you got to look at, or you should look at if you know how to take a lock apart and have the tools, is to set your pins where they'll be most optimal. I'm gonna move along here to the American lock so I can show you the much better pins. And on this one, every single key pin came serrated, so those serrations will get caught in that shear line when you're trying to pick it. And then on top of that, we have not just spool pins, but let's see if I can get a better look. There we go. The ends of the spool pins are also serrated. That adds even more stickiness, which as when I was trying to pick this, yes, it felt like I was just moving through gravel as much as all these pins were just sticking in that shear line. We have 2 very serrated pins, 3 serrated spool pins, and again, all the key pins are serrated. That is a fantastically made lock. They really thought about lowering the pickability of this lock when they did that. And the rest of the lock wasn't built all that bad either. So anyway, there's my explanation. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, please leave them in the comment section below. If you like what you saw, please subscribe. Please pass it on to anybody else you think might enjoy this content. Talk to you later, and don't pick anything that's not yours or you don't have permission to.